is the moment when the supposedly dead killer comes back to life for one last scare.
Welcome to the first of many GVN review / The Last Scare crossover. We will be breaking down our thoughts on the 2022 Prey, aka Predator movie, and on The Last Scare, they will be going deeper into all of the Predator movies. So this is essentially part one of a part two, I guess, of a two-parter, I guess. But we will be breaking down the movie Prey today. But before we get into it, let me introduce my panelists, starting off with Trayvon. What's up, Trayvon?
Hey, I'm happy to be here. I finished it this morning. Can't wait to talk about it. I am a newbie. I feel like I've seen these movies at some point, and I know the kind of noise and everything like that. But this was interesting to watch. It was pretty cool. Yeah.
Absolutely. And next up, Blake. What's up, Blake?
Hey, just got up, but since we're talking about Prey, that really woke me up because I loved this movie. So I'm excited to get into it.
Let's jump right into it. So to me, this movie was a lot of fun. Obviously, we got the screener. For it. So me and Jayla were able to see it early. And watching it on my laptop was amazing, right? And I felt as though it did it no justice. It should have been on the biggest screen I could have possibly watched it on.
Yeah.
But it was great, right? I enjoyed the suspense. I enjoyed the heritage. I enjoyed the story, right? I enjoyed everything about this movie. And it just felt so grounded, right? Like it felt like it belonged. It didn't feel like this out of place kind of thing. Like I feel like a lot of the Predator movies did. It felt very natural, right? So Blake, I'll start off with you. Like, what was your initial reaction after watching Prey?
After watching Prey, I knew it was going to be good, and I heard the good reviews, and I was still surprised just at how well they pulled everything off, how it finally came down to our main character versus the antagonist in the Predator. Naru is her name, right?
Yeah.
Naru and I forget what they're referring to this new Predator, but I like it, so I need to look it up. But anyway, it's always that final confrontation that kind of makes or breaks that movie.
Right.
And this one, along with the original Predator and Predators, in my opinion, are the only ones that really feel like that warrior with the basics in the jungle, just like hunter versus hunter kind of thing. And since we're getting into spoilers, I guess it's okay, but the way Naru defeats the Predator is probably the smartest that I've seen a lead take down a Predator. I was kind of in shock, and I'm like, there's no way he's just getting submerged in the quicksand, so there's got to be more to her plan here. And then it all came together, and I was like, wow. But it was creative, that's for sure.
So I want to ask you about this, Blake, because this scene definitely stood out to me the most because it was just pulse pounding, highest point of suspense and one of the biggest and best moments for me. This is just my opinion of this movie, which was, and by the way, it blows out that fucking movie Leonardo DiCaprio did, right? This is how you do a bear chase, right?
Yes.
This is how you do a bear chase in a bear fight. And wow. I loved it. I'll tell you this. I got really scared for that dog.
Yeah. I think everybody did. That dog's blowing up right now.
Yeah, because that dog, it's funny because like I see a bunch of videos of this all the time, but to me, what's so scary is I think animals, their immediate instinct is, no, I'm the shit, right? Like, I don't care if you're a bear, a tiger, I'm standing my ground, right? I don't think a dog ever necessarily says to itself, oh, I am outmatched. Like that is a
Yeah.
fucking bear. I'm a dog, right? Not a big one even at that. So when you see the dog kind of chase, kind of chasing the bear kind of chasing the dog, I'm like, oh, please, no, don't eat this dog.
I thought we were
please,
going to hear the whimpers in the distance.
Me too, and I was not ready for that, Blake. But walk me through that, because in my opinion, I don't think there was a better suspenseful scene than that entirety of that bear chase.
Yeah.
But what were your thoughts?
I knew as with all the other Predator movies, they had to reveal the Predator somehow.
Mm-hmm.
And they've always revealed the Predator in fantastic ways in every single movie. So I know the creators of this were like, hey, how can we not necessarily top it, but bring something new?
Right.
And he was invisible for everything, yes. Up till
100%.
Yes. Up till that moment, and aside from seeing him from behind, but yeah, he's invisible in the water fighting that bear, and just seeing the bear topple something invisible with the green blood coming out of his mouth was perfect. And that whole time I'm like, Predator's getting his ass kicked. How's he going to do this?
Yes.
And finally that bear charges and just one punch to the head, breaking its neck.
Right.
And I was like, holy shit. And just the cherry on top is lifting the bear up with the blood dripping down to finally reveal the Predator.
Yep.
And the music was popping off too.
Yes, it was.
I'm glad the music is getting the credit it deserves with people talking about this movie. But I think that bear scene was a fantastic fight, let alone a perfect way to introduce us to this new Predator. And sure, he's a rookie and he's got the basics, especially when it comes to Earth, but he killed a bear in one punch.
Yes, he knocked the shit out of that bear.
He did knock the shit out of that bear.
You know what's even funnier about him getting that punch off on that bear is when the bear bit him, right? The bear stood up and was screaming like, yeah, I got you. The Predator was just like, not even close. Like, not even close.
He's like, I got a spray for that.
100%. Don't even worry. This is nothing. But yeah, because to me, I kind of feel like if your main character, right, is supposed to be this quote unquote defenseless, kind of character, you need something of massive size to really showcase how strong the Predator is. And that bear was the perfect target, right? So Trayvon, walk me through this, because this isn't a kind of horror movie, because I know horror is not really your thing. This is more like suspenseful, sci-fi, thriller kind of. Sure. Yeah. So walk me through watching this, Trayvon, and your thoughts on how this differs from a lot of the other Predator movies.
Well, see, like I said, I'm not very versed in them like that. I like the premise of this where she had to like prove herself, kind of like they all just didn't. It's like they all saw her as weak. Oh, you're just a woman. You could just do, be in the kitchen. Like that's what it felt like. And I was like, right. Come on now. This is like, I'm like, I said she's gonna prove herself at some point. But I did like that they didn't just like, as soon as she went out there, she would just win it. She was like, she struggled. She got there. And she even made fun of like the thing I thought was the coolest. And we was like, you made a leash for your weapon. And I was like, that leash worked though.
It sure did. It sure did.
It worked. I was like, look at you. Who survived? That's right.
And so did that quicksand scene bother you a little bit to where you're like, oh shit, like what's gonna happen?
I mean, it's whenever you watch movies like this, you're like, okay, now she is stuck. If he comes for her right now, she is done. So it's like I was like, if he comes for her right now, she is done. But I was like, I don't know. It's just like as you started watching the movie, because I guess I wasn't like the name Predator didn't like ring to me like what was he doing, like what was the purpose or whatever. But I was like, oh, so he's getting rid of actual predators. He wants to be the only one that is
the ultimate hunter,
the aggressive one. Like everybody else is aggressive, he's getting rid of. And I was like, okay, I get it now. Because at first I was like, why is he here? Like, what is the point? Like, you could literally slaughter all these people easily. Like, what are you waiting for?
Right.
Why are you invisible? Like, why are you hiding? But yeah, so he's the full. He wants to get rid of. He wants to be the top of the food chain. He wants to get rid of everything that's around. And I thought that was really cool. Once that started clicking with me, I said, okay, cause I understand. I was like, why are they skin these things? Oh, it doesn't make any sense. What? Yeah. So once they figured it out, I was like, okay, all right, now I get it. Now I understand what's happening here. Okay. And he kind of was like helping her, kind of. You didn't think about it. Like they were bullying her. They were pulling her. So he came in and said, basically, like, y'all are aggressive now. ///. All y'all are gone. Like, that's not what she wanted. That's what happened.
I did love the parallels because this is just how I took it. I took it as you had nature's biggest predator versus the universe's biggest predator versus, at the time, the world's best hunters, right? So it's like, all right, you have the hunted and the hunter. And now it comes down to who places themselves where, right? You know, and I loved how smart she was. I love when she found out about the gun. Yes. There was just so many layers of her character that was just like, fuck yes, she is so perfect.
She was really studying him as he was doing stuff. She was like,
she was, yep. Okay. And I loved, because you guys know how every movie always works in the title to the name, right? And sometimes it's super cheesy. Sometimes it's like, oh my God, you forced that, right? What I loved about this movie is when she realized he doesn't see me because he doesn't deem me as a threat, right? So then it becomes who is truly preying on who, right? Or whom, rather. So I love just so many different angles this movie took and how it took her becoming the predator and him becoming the prey or it becoming the prey for her to really seize that moment. There were just so many powerful moments. Like, Blake, walk me through what you were thinking when you saw they were hunting for the tiger. They didn't believe her on something else was behind ripping the snake apart like it was nothing, ripping all these different things apart. So when you get to the fight of the tiger, how did you feel seeing that the brother essentially took credit for essentially a half a kill, right? Because she really did most of the, well, I won't say most of the work, because I've never experienced having to kill a tiger. I assume it's a lot harder.
Yeah, probably.
But she did maybe weaken it a little bit.
It was her plan. He even said that.
Right. So would you kind of go, was it 50-50, or do you always give more credit to the person that actually killed a fucking tiger?
I'd say it's probably 40-60. Okay, it was her plan, but he killed a fucking tiger. Right. It's one thing to be like, hey, here's how you do it. Here's your plan in passing the orders to someone. And it's an entirely other thing to get your blade and be like, okay, tiger, I'm going to kill you.
Right.
Two entirely different things. But I think that's the entire point of that scene is like that was her start. Like it's showing she's not helpless. She knows how to defeat these creatures. She just never got the chance to do it herself. Right. It's not like she failed. She just got knocked out. She literally couldn't have done it.
And that's got why knocked out because didn't the predator do something that
she saw him
threw her off? Yeah.
She saw him far away in the light, so it wasn't even on her. She was just like, is that an alien?
Right.
So, and I think that entire scene is lost on people, because one of the biggest complaints I've seen is the people saying she can just do anything, or she's that typical hero that just so happens to be able to defeat this extraterrestrial warrior.
She worked for that.
Well,
no.
Okay, well, yeah. Really quickly, Blake, my issue to that is the movie starts with it showcasing that she is not only an amazing tracker, but she has the ability to utilize all of her skills. It's just no one ever lets her.
Yeah.
Right? So it's like, and I think people get really confused with these things, Blake. Like, the difference is, again, when Rey was able to defeat Kylo.
That's what I keep bringing it to.
All the force that she learned was literally merely in seconds of defeating Kylo. Mm-hmm. We're talking about somebody that's learned the ways of hunting for forever.
That's her life.
The idea, right? It was the idea of like, no one's ever allowed me to implement it. Like, I've only been able to hunt deer or an eagle. Like, I've never been able to do the great hunt because they won't let me. But clearly I have some of the skills to actually utilize some of this, right? And I think where it gets lost, bringing it back to Prey, is I think people forget her brother helped out a lot towards the end, right? He helped out a lot for her to formulate this plan by essentially risking himself to be the decoy. So I'm like, it wasn't just like she was braiding hair all her life, and then all of a sudden it's just like, ooh, axe, I can kill now. Like, no, like you ignored the entirety of that movie where she kept saying, I'm one of you if you would just let me. But I'm sorry, that just really bothers me because I have sisters, and I don't like the notion of like, oh, well, you just randomly magically can defend yourself. Well, no, maybe I've trained my whole life. Like, like there's a difference, you know?
Yeah.
So that does bother me, but I'm sorry, Blake.
Yeah, I still stand by it too. I said I think Prey's the best Predator movie, and I know 100%. That's what we're kind of getting into here, but and someone disputed that by saying like a 110-pound girl taking down like this giant predator, like no, it can't be the best movie. And I mean, to that's just a stupid point. But another thing, you have to be the smarter one if you're going to win a game of strategy, which is what the Predator is all about. It's hunting, it's strategy, two predators against each other. I don't necessarily think either of them was prey until the very end. Predator definitely became the prey there. Right. But, I mean, look at Batman and Bane. That's the classic big villain, smaller hero. Batman's smarter at the end of the day. He wins.
Even to go to your point, she didn't necessarily defeat him by sheer strength. Right?
No, not at all.
She outsmarted him. Right? It took a lot of little small things to kind of throw him off of his game. I keep saying him. Throw it off of its game for her to deliver the lethal strike. But I get really frustrated because people are acting like she stood right in front of the Predator and went, all right, see me with them hands, right? And they just kind of just were slugging each other out. No.
Yeah, no.
She used all of her smarts along with the fact that it never really took her seriously till it was too late, right? Yeah. There were a lot of factors that went into it. This wasn't as simple as the movie starts, she picks up an axe, kills the Predator, end credits.
I just feel like people tuned out for the first half of this movie because Predator wasn't in it much, where it shows her train, it shows her fail, adapt to what she failed at, and constantly improve her techniques when she knows what she's doing. She's just like, oh, that's not going to be good enough. I'll try this.
Right.
Throws the axe, it doesn't work, attaches the rope to it, and gets really good at it.
Yep. And look, she ultimately almost died with not being able to get that axe. Well, yes, but not being able to get that axe where she needed it in that log jam to get her out of that what would you call that? Like a sinking pit or some shit?
Quicksand.
Quicksand. Oh, because it might not technically be quicksand, but because I'm like, it looked like mud. But so I'm like, to me, she proved that she was just as good of a warrior as everybody else, right? And like, what bothers me about what people are saying is like, you never saw her brother train. But if the brother at the end of the day defeated the Predator, how would that have been more satisfying than watching her do it? Yeah. You didn't see him train at all. How do you know that he had any training?
And she even took out the other members of the tribe that were trying to bring her back. Right. That fought her. She beat them. I think the whole point of that scene is they underestimated her, which is what they did to. They did that to Predator, which is why they lost. She never ever underestimated him. She's like, that's a problem.
Yes. Like, she saw the bear and said, oh shit. She saw the Predator and said, oh shit. She saw the tiger and said, oh shit. It was just the three things those all had in common was she realized if I don't show my strength now, right, I'll never be able to. At some point, I have to showcase that I belong in the room, right?
She was literally the prey the whole time, and she was fighting back the whole time, like showing that she could do things. I was like, she's not a damsel in distress. She's like, 100%. I can see
with how they got out of that tree with the bear trap, and he's like, oh, please, I don't want to cut my arm off, and she's like, well, we're smarter than animals, so we won't have to do that.
Right. Yeah, to me, I just look at it as, like you were saying, she was the prey that whole movie, but that's why I think this movie is such great poetry, is because by the end of that movie, the question remains, who truly was the prey and who was the predator, right? So to me, I kind of just feel like so much about the beauty of this movie is that it's flipping what we know on its head, right? To where, like, because if this movie came out 10 years ago, somehow at the end of this movie, the brother would have found the hidden strength he needed, to come back from almost dying to deliver the finishing blow to the Predator, right?
Yeah.
But now, in more progressive times, which thank God that we're in, she did it, right?
We're getting there.
Yeah, it's still a journey. But to me, I thought this was beautiful because to me, it's one of those things where it's like, I like where you're underestimated, right? And it comes down to you kind of going, am I strong enough? I'll never know unless I face it, right? And anybody, I tell you right now, if I go down by the pond, by the lake, by the ocean, and there's just a bear chilling, guess what Juwan's not doing? Trying to disturb that bear. So I'm out. I'm gone, right? I'm gone. I'm picking up the dog and we're out of here.
Definitely would have took out the arrow and tried to shoot it. Like, no.
And if I did, I would have been gone. She was trying to reload the shit. I'm gone. The arrow is still there on the ground. I'm gone. Right?
Yeah.
That bear is going to have to track me for the next 3 days. I'm gone.
And honestly, sorry, the dog, I wouldn't come down there. When the dog was down, I was like, yeah, that's it. That's it for the dog. Ain't no way I'm sliding my ass down there.
I tell you what. At that point, I'm not leaving the dog, but I am a safe distance away. That if that dog does get caught, all right, I'm out of here.
That dog saved her ass a lot. Man.
Yeah, that dog did.
Ass dog.
It sure did. It sure did. So, welcoming you in, Mike. What's going on, Mike?
Hey, how's it going, guys?
Good. So we are all pretty much. So we're split here, right? So me and Blake. Blake, you've seen the other Predator movies, right?
Oh yeah, I love them.
Yeah. So we have me and Blake that have seen the other ones, and this is definitively our favorite. And then you and Trayvon that aren't familiar with the other movies that still view this right now, currently, as your favorite because you haven't seen really anything else.
Yeah.
So I love the mirror of that. But Mike, I want to ask you. I was asking Trayvon and Blake, like some of the higher points. Like, walk me through your thoughts of seeing just that bear scene. I'm trying to get.
Yeah, the bear scene is so intense, you guys. It's honestly one of the highlights of the movie because I heard you guys talking earlier and seeing just like the tenacity that Naru has, though, right? Like trying to reload the arrow, trying to stand her ground. It just shows how strong of a character she really is. I would Trayvon though. That dog's a goner. I'm sorry. As a dog owner, I will do anything to protect my puppy. But when I'm face to face with a bear and my bow is broken, I'm out. I'm sorry. I am checked out.
Oh my god! Y'all not even trying to pick up the dog and run?
The dog was down there. What you mean? The dog was down there.
Well, whistle to it or something, Trayvon. Have it come back
whistle
up to you.
To tell where I'm at. To show where I am. No,
the bear can smell you already, Trayvon. Like, you're not invisible to the bear. Leaving the dog?
I would have told myself I was invisible, okay? And I would have tried to get away.
Like it's a T-Rex.
I wasn't going to give it no other ammo to find me. I wasn't going to help it. I was like, look.
Oh, my goodness. I mean, y'all not lying, but I would have to try. It depends. Like, I'm not a pet person. So if I did have a dog and I had like an actual relationship with that dog, I would try something like trying to get the dog to come run towards me so we can get the hell out of there. But you only get one whistle. If you don't respond to that whistle, I'm out.
I mean, in that situation, because of course you do anything to protect the dog. I literally said that right here. But in that situation, I don't know what you do. That's why it's very impressive that she tried to fight that bear off.
She did.
And that's just the entire theme of the whole movie, right? You were saying that earlier. Who's the predator? Who's the prey? And you see that shift with Nadu's character throughout the course of the movie, which I just think is perfect. Having not seen the other Predator movies, I'm scared because I don't think they live up to this one. I might be wrong. Blake, maybe I'm wrong, but it's going to be hard to top this one.
No,
I don't even think. Well, I shouldn't say that. You wanna hope they at least they view this as a good blueprint for a Predator movie because there's still so many people like it doesn't beat the first one, and I'm like, I grew up on the first one. I just rewatched the first one. Blows the first one away. Like it's commando soldiers. Like I can get that in another movie, but with Naru, the main character of this movie, that's something special.
Yeah. And it's
Easy to
more
root
so the David versus Goliath thing, right? Like you
Yeah.
watch the original and you're just like, Arnold Schwarzenegger is definitely like the same size as that fucking Predator, right? So then you go, well, maybe you shouldn't lose this. Like,
Yeah.
but you look at her and you're just like, you should have maybe been dead 90 different times, right?
Also,
And
as
it's not
much
because you're a girl; it's just because you're small, right?
Yeah.
That could have been a male character. I was like, you're so small, you should
Mhm.
not have been able to get past this, right?
Well,
So
all
to
of the
me,
male
I-
characters also aren't the size of Arnold Schwarzenegger in this movie.
Right,
So it could have been
exactly,
anyone
exactly.
else
Right.
in this cast.
Right, exactly. You're absolutely right. Thank you. You're absolutely right. But to me,
Mhm.
like I said, I've watched them all, and you know, I don't have anything negative necessarily to say about the rest of them. They're just not this. That's really just all it comes down to. You're just not this good, right? You're good. You're just not this good. And I do believe that some of them are worse than the others. But yeah, this to me by far, because it completely captured what a Predator movie should be, right? And it's like now the thing that I hate about Prey is that you're so good, you can't do a sequel with the same character, right? You now have to move on, but now I don't want you to move on or not that far on, right?
Mhm.
Now I'm like, but where do you go? You know what I'm saying? Like maybe give us some samurais
Well,
versus
did
fucking
you?
the Predator.
When I was watching it with Sabrina, I said the Old West. If they move forward a little bit, Cowboys versus Predators would be interesting. And did you notice? So Trayvon and Mike haven't seen the sequels, the other Predator movies.
Right. Mm-hmm.
Okay, I'll be a little vague, but did you notice that gun that she had at the end?
Yes, I did. Yep. Yes,
I didn't notice until after someone pointed it out, and I was like, "No way!"
Is that what it's in that name or whatever? That was on the side?
Yeah, I was trying to read. I'm like, "What did that say?" And the fact that I missed it kind of explains why I didn't put it together. But
well,
yeah,
to me, the only question I would have of the Old West is like, to me, I kind of want the focus to be on groups that were warriors, right?
yeah,
And I'm not saying that cowboys weren't a form of warrior, but they were very much
they're
dependent.
not they're not hunters like
Right.
this.
They were dependent on a gun. And if you got rid of that gun, it's just like, well, what do I do now? That's what I'm saying. Like maybe go samurai. Right. It's like, I got this rope, try to hang you, but I don't really know what else I got. But that's why I said samurais, because then you can get creative on what time period you want to go to and just how they're able to utilize anything really as a weapon, right? Like their sword is their go-to, but they can really utilize really anything, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, I just want to look, and to me, I want to go back through history and look at different groups, right, that were known to be warriors or hunters or whatever the case may be, and see where they can go culturally. Because I thought this was a huge win culturally, right?
Yeah.
Like, again, I'm not of that culture, but I got the same feel of this that I got watching Miss Marvel, that I'm like, I kind of feel like this is a really cool way to showcase a different culture, right?
Yeah.
And again, I'm not from it, so I don't know how accurate it was, but I tell you this, it's definitely different than how you might have seen them utilize all these other cultures in the past, right? This is a more positive spin on the culture.
It's also big that they got the Comanche dub for this movie as well. I have yet to see that one, and I think I'm going to, because I just want to rewatch the movie before next week, before we really get into it with the Predator franchise. But I feel like it's going to play so much better, just because they would talk in that language to each other, and then English for the majority of the movie. And I'm like, I feel like this is going to work so much better if we're as engulfed in their world as we could possibly be. So
right, and I believe if you're using this tribe or any tribe, from that culture, you have to get okays, right? And I'm like, I kind of feel like if you got that stamp of approval, you know, it's because they believed in what you were doing. So I also value that. But man, like I said, this just was great. This really was. And part of me kind of was hoping for, I'm curious how you guys look at this. I'm going to go around to everybody. I'll start off with you, Blake. I did kind of want at certain points of this movie for this Predator to be very new. And what I mean by that was he did not have a full utilization of all of his weapons, right? Like that was something you had to earn through conquering, right? You had to conquer, and then when you came back to the mothership, like the Mandalorian, right? Like remember how, you know, you go through things, you bring it back, they give you this new armor, and it's kind of like a stamp of approval once you get the jetpack and all that. I was kind of hoping this would be maybe like a trilogy series, and like the more these predators were kind of going through, is the more weapons they got.
Yeah.
Just because it's like I would kind of like to see maybe this have started off maybe on equal footing, right? Like I don't have all this technology. You only have like bow and arrows, right? Like I have spears and maybe shield and shit like that. Like how would you like to see a Predator movie where he does not have all the technology and he is depending more so on his ability to just hunt?
That'd be really cool. I went into this movie thinking, okay, Predator has lost in every single movie that he's ever been in.
Yep.
It would be cool to see him win for once, but then as soon as I started this movie, I'm like, no, I don't want her to die. She has to win. That pissed me off if she loses.
Yes.
So I'm glad it didn't go that way, that I went into it kind of expecting or hoping for. But that would be cool to see a bare bones Predator, because this was just his first time to Earth, not necessarily his first hunt. I would like to get a movie where it is his first hunt. He has, maybe they're like, okay, here's a shield and a spear. Good luck.
Yeah.
Or they're just like, here's nothing. Go make your shield and spear in the whatever planet we send you to, and good luck. I think to see Predator craft his own weapons would be cool. And I mean, you have to have a likable protagonist, but maybe we can bite the bullet. Predator kills that protagonist, and then we can see him evolve. He goes back to the mothership. He goes through whatever trials they have, because we know they have it. You get little glimpses of their rituals in each movie, and maybe kind of followed the same Predator for a couple movies until finally he reaches how we know the Predator's got the helmet, the laser gun, the coward's way out on his wrist.
Right.
I would like to see that happen, but you know, it's hard to kill off likable protagonists, especially in this movie. Immediately, I was like, that's what I wanted to see from this movie for once, and I don't want that anymore.
Right. So Mike, I pass the question off to you, right? And I want to word this differently because you have not seen any of the other ones. So how interested would you be in a World War Hulk kind of Predator, right? Where it's his first time, he gets dropped on this war planet, right? That has all kinds of different species. Weirdly, a human, because obviously, you know, they always got to have like a few humans up in that shit. Like a human, all kinds of other species. Because I feel like Predator's never gone off world. We've never seen a movie off world. Spoiler alert, but you'll never see out of any of those old movies it taking place anywhere but Earth.
Right. Well, so there's one movie that takes place off Earth.
Oh wait, are you talking about the Brody one?
Yeah.
Yeah. The Brody one technically does, but it still fucking looks like Earth.
It does.
It's like
hey, this water like spins in a circle.
Yeah, I'm like, it looks like a rainforest. But would you have any interest, seeing what you saw from this movie, where would you like to see this franchise go going forward?
That's an interesting question, and it's weird because, again, I haven't seen the other movies in the franchise, but from what we got in Prey, I like how you guys mentioned like fighting in different eras. I think that'd be a really cool spin on the franchise. But that World War Hulk idea, where we just drop a Predator on a war planet, like a war world, that would be really sick, honestly. Especially like, again, having not watched the movies, can you imagine framing it where the Predator is like the protagonist itself, right?
Yes.
Where you're seeing it from that perspective. That is really intriguing to me, and so I would love to see an idea like that. I just want to give mad credit, though, to Amber Midthunder as Nadu, because she carried this movie, man. She was just so good as the protagonist. And to Blake's point, you don't want her to die. Like, as soon as you meet her, she just engulfs everything in this movie, and you just like, yeah, okay. Protect her at all costs. More than the dog at this point.
The dog I could have gotten over someday. Naru, no, would have ruined the whole movie.
Yeah. It would have been awful.
But that's why I'm saying I want a World War Hulk kind of Predator movie, because then you can have the Predator win, right? Because then at that point, it's more so just like, it's just survival, right? Everyone's there for survival. Whoever wins is able to leave, right? And then that's when you could see, like, Blake, picture how dope it would be. No mask, no weapons, right? You get to the end of the movie, he wins. Then he gets back to the mothership and they award him the mask. They
Mhm.
award him the shoulder missiles, right? And then the next movie is wherever planet he chooses next. And now it's like, okay, now if you want to go back to the formula of having a character that we fall in love with, that it's now like, okay, he's probably gonna lose this one. I'm okay with, because you've established this is how he started, right? This is how he earned everything he has, his scars, his armor, his weaponry. Because to me, I kind of feel like I just want to see him travel, where he's picking up weapons from different species. He's learning different ways to hunt. He's learning how people adapt to different things. Because to me, I kind of feel like every time you start it to where the predator lands and he just kind of knows, well, this is a human. This is kind of how humans go. It's like, no, I kind of want to know that you've been scouting. I kind of want to know that you've seen how different people hunt. So you're kind of more aware of how to utilize these things.
Yeah.
And if you put it on a world, you know what you could do? Put a fucking dinosaur, put a T-Rex on there. Have it fight a T-Rex, right?
Oh
Like,
my
just do
God.
some really dope things
Yeah.
with that world.
And we know that it would still come full circle if we see him win multiple times, and finally, if he were to lose, obviously it means something or someone beat him or it in a battle. And I really urge Mike and Trayvon to watch the other ones, because even when they died, the predator ritual kind of continues. They still have a little something, a tradition they do when they lose one of their own. So
Right.
I would like to see even more to that, because I'm sure they go home and talk shit on it, like, oh wow, this guy lost.
Yeah, they're
You
like,
believe
yo, did you hear what happened to Steve yesterday? Like,
And the one with the scepter and cape is like, imagine ever losing, because you know every predator you see is a winner.
right, yep,
Right.
100%. I would love to see that. And you know what's funny, Blake? I am one of maybe two people, the director and me, that enjoyed the last Predator movie we got with Boyd Holbrook. I think was the lead of it.
Yeah, so Sabrina loves that movie too.
I love that movie so much, Blake.
No.
I really do. I don't know why. I get it. If anyone comes to me and is like, hey, that movie was bad, I'm not here to argue it. But there's something about it that I really loved.
I gotta rewatch it. I saw it in the theater when it first came out, and I did not enjoy it. And I love Predator, so I never want to go into a movie disliking a Predator movie. But I walked out of that like,
I will say though, that end credit scene is what really stuck with me, right? That
for better or worse.
Yeah, I was just like, well, you kind of hooked me. But no, so I mean, so Trayvon, so you were gone for a second, but now that you're back, I asked you before we start to wrap up here, now that you've seen this, right?
Mm-hmm.
Forget anything that came before. Well, obviously watch it. I just mean in the sense of right now. Where would you like to see this go? I was saying how you could do like a World War Hulk. You're familiar with World War Hulk, right?
I know of it based on what you guys talked about.
Mm-hmm.
I don't like Reddit or anything, no, but
I'll say this. You got a version of it in Thor Ragnarok. So it's like that. So picture that, but with Predator. So it's a war kind of like a war zone, right? Like an arena. And you're essentially getting the best fighters around the universe, right? And you put the Predator right smack dab in it. Would you be interested in that?
I would love to see that. It was great. The skill level he was showing, the way he used all his different, like even the shield, the way he was using it, even like to cut off somebody's head, or even she was really smart too though when she scooted under those rocks. Yep. I was like, she learned a lot from it. Every time I was like, oh, she was really paying attention to everything he was doing, even during while he was killing all those people. She was trying to escape. She was still watching him like, okay, he got that shit on his arm. All right. Like, she watched, and I enjoyed that. And I would really like to see what else, he can do. Like the way he was healing himself and everything. I was watching, I was like, okay, where's the video game? As I was watching it, I was like, please. Like he has so many different things to upgrade or make, whatever. Like that.
There is a great one. They just came out with a Predator game. I haven't heard good things about it, but Alien versus Predator, that original video game.
Yeah, I'll give you that.
Ever play that? You can play as the Predator campaign, Alien campaign, and a Marine campaign. The Predator one by far knocks them all out, because it's like what J1 was saying. You adapt throughout that game. You get another helmet. You get more weapons. It's such a fun game. I want to replay it now.
Unfortunately, the only problem with doing just a regular Predator game is you can't be a predator just hunting humans, right? So that's why I said if you did a World War Hulk kind of predator movie and game, right? They're kind of like a tie-in to a degree. You could do a lot with it, right? You're just fighting a whole bunch of different species that could be way stronger than you. You got to power up to be able to beat them.
Yeah,
There's so much you could do in that.
I'm glad that video game came out after a couple of the Alien vs. Predator movies, because after a while you're killing all these Marines and it's like, okay, this is getting a little repetitive. And then the game's like, oh, you want a monster to fight? And it's the monster you would want to fight. So it's like, oh, okay, they listened to me.
Yeah, I got you.
What is
like,
this
I got
on?
you.
This game, what is the system or?
This is back for 360 and stuff, right, Blake?
Yeah. I'm
Might
pretty
be
sure
on
it's
Game Pass.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure you can play it on Xbox One. I hope, because
what was it called?
Alien versus Predator, or Aliens versus Predator.
Then I didn't see it on Game Pass.
Let me see. I'll find it. I'll put it in the chat so you can look into it.
But yeah, I think we all agree that this was one of again, people out there listen to me clearly, one of the best movies of the year. And I think that it is robbery that they did not have enough faith in this movie to put it out in theaters. Because I would have much rather seen this on the biggest possible screen ever, to really soak this in, right? Because it's like first having to watch on my laptop,
gotta
my
see it in
TV.
IMAX.
IMAX would have been so much better. But Mike, you're about to say something.
No, I was just agreeing with you. Not getting it in theaters, like I can just feel the scale and scope of this movie watching it from home, and I was legit mad like halfway through, where it's like, why am I watching this on Hulu? Why can't I be watching this at the theater right now?
Right.
I envy everyone who got a screening to go watch this movie in the theaters. Because again, it's just so immersive. Like imagine the audio quality, the sound.
Yep.
Yeah.
Being
that
stopped
bear
by that
scene
predator
would have
and that
hit.
bear, right?
Yeah, that bear scene would have hit a lot better in a theater for sure, 100%. Yeah, because like when you see that it's on Hulu, you have one of those like, oh wait, did this come out like 2 years ago and now they're putting it on Hulu? No. It came out this past week and it dropped on Hulu. Like it didn't have any theatrical run, right? And it's just like, damn, like part of you is like some movies deserve the straight to Hulu or Netflix. And like Red Notice, I'm okay with Red Notice never being in theaters. I'm not okay with Prey not being in theaters, right?
Oh yeah,
it's like that shouldn't be the one.
I wonder if it's either faith or it's just, I don't know, they just wanted something for Hulu. It's interesting though.
I think for them it was. I think for them it was maybe low risk, high reward. So it's like if it gets a lot of streams, a lot of good conversation. Maybe if they bring this team back to do a sequel, obviously not the same characters, but to progress the narrative, you can then say, all right, look, like 6 million people, either subscribe to Hulu to watch it or they watched it a couple of times. The numbers are great for it. We'll put money behind it for you to drop it into, to have a theatrical release. But this, I can see them
like on the video on this video, but also on Hulu.
Yes, also on Hulu. But I can see this movie being one of those. It was phenomenal, or I see exactly why it was released on Hulu. You know what I'm saying? So I'm like, I get it because it does have that range to where it could be either or. But I'm saying now that it's like Deadpool. When you hear Deadpool only had like a $50 million budget, you go, yes, because you don't know how it's going to perform. But once it overperforms, you tell the director, however much money you need, we feel as though we have all the confidence in the world, right?
Yeah.
So I'm like, that's how they should treat this team if this team is coming back to do another one, right? Like if they get greenlit.
After watching the movie, I was like, this was a Hulu exclusive.
Yeah.
I would like to sit someone down who's never heard of it and be like, watch this movie. And after it's over, be like, that was only on Hulu. That was an exclusive streaming service movie. And they're going to be like, what?
Yeah, you would go, no way.
Yeah.
No. It had to be in theaters for a little bit, right? No.
Never once, as of right now.
It makes me wonder why. Because it's a great movie. And I wonder if it's something to do with, like, I don't know. It says 20th Century Pictures. So I don't know if this is before the merger with Disney. So, like, maybe they just didn't care since they didn't put any money into it. But I don't understand how it just ends up on Hulu.
It was originally supposed to be in theaters. But
it was, but even if that was the thinking, Mike, that's confusing because New Mutants actually came out in theaters. So it's
Yeah.
like, you know, and there was not much good press behind New Mutants at all. So I'm like, well, there was a lot of good press behind this. Everybody we heard was raving about it, right? So I'm like, why not just do it? And again, I get it. If you're Disney and you're like, I didn't put any money behind it, who gives a shit? I'm like, just do a test screening, right?
Mhm.
And if people respond well, put it in theaters. Because I'm like, you actually get the money that you would make off of it, right? So I'm like, it's not like if it makes money, you don't get it. If it doesn't make money, who cares, right? Like, you could at least do that and go, you know what? Maybe we do want to chart forward with doing another one or whatever the case may be. But to completely just kind of let it just drop on Hulu, I think it's a disservice to that great team that put this great movie together. And I just hope that it gets some kind of theatrical release at some point. I mean, hell, Morbius got put back in theaters, so Prey should be able to, right?
That's a very good point.
Like, it got put back in theaters and made no money, and they were just like, I am shocked. It's like, well, no one really came out to see it the first go around.
In 5 years, people are going to understand the amazing film that is Morbius. But you know,
they will, as we're pulling out our as we're putting our fangs in our mouth, saying it's Morbin time, right? And then turning into a vampire. That's exactly what's going to happen. But no, I like when we do pods like this, where we all agree, we all love the movie. There's nothing negative necessarily to say about it. I think the biggest negative thing I have to say about it is that I can't picture a sequel, right? Like,
Yeah.
To me, it makes no sense for like the Predator gang to go, run that shit back. Send somebody else. Send Dave.
They need to avoid Earth. They have a terrible Earth track record.
They 100% do. 100%. They gotta say to themselves, why are we doing this still? Like, what do we have to gain from it? Like, we just keep losing. Maybe try something else. Let's try Mars. Let's see what's hitting off on Mars. Right? Like, let's see if there's some space rocks I can kill or whatever's happening over there. Let's try that for a little bit. But no, I think we all agree this was very good. We can't wait to see what not only the actress does going forward, but what this director does going forward. Right? Because I would love to see this director do something with the X-Men, right? I would love to see that. Especially with who was one of the main characters in The Gifted. Fuck. His ability was tracking and hunting and all that.
I didn't even watch The Gifted.
Oh shit. I can't remember the character's name.
It's been so long.
Oh man, I want to look it up because I would love to see this director take on that character. Because it fits, and it was also the culture, the same culture. Let me see what the character's name was.
While you look that up, I'll just say that Nadu's actress Amber, she is going to be in Avatar: The Last Airbender. Fingers crossed that show is good.
Ooh, yes. Or if it's not, hopefully she doesn't have that prominent of a role that we have to look at and go, oof.
Well, she's playing Princess Yue, so she's only going to be in like the finale or so, I think. So,
got you. Okay. Well, then it'll be good then. Say it again, Trayvon.
Was it?
Oh, she's playing Princess Yue, the Northern Water Tribe.
No,
princess.
I mean who's this actress?
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah, the one who played Nadu.
Oh, okay.
Yep. And the character's name was Thunderbird.
Oh, yeah.
Thunderbird from The Gifted. I would love to see this director take, and that's what I'm saying. I would like for Marvel to kind of expand their mutants, where some characters can have shows, and the rest of the characters can just join in on the X-Men. Like, I would like them to use the aspects of The Gifted as something kind of as a Disney Plus series. And Thunderbird would be a perfect character for them to utilize. But I just want to see more from this team. This team was a beautiful team. They really did their homework. They did their due diligence, and they did this franchise proud. And what I mean by that is you're clearly the best. So you've now created a blueprint for whoever comes next. That's what you have to do. You have to do what they did, right? So fingers crossed. Fingers crossed you're able to do that. But what I was thinking about, Blake, as we get out of here, and you were like, I would like to see like Predator more like in the Wild Wild West, kind of like with those guys. We had a version of that, and it was called Cowboys and Aliens.
I knew you were going to say that.
I thought about it, but I'm like, nope. Try to stay positive.
Yeah, that movie was something else, huh?
We had a version of that, and Jon Favreau, man, did he shit the bed with that movie.
I saw that movie when it first came out, obviously not paying attention to directors and everything at the time. So going back and I'm like, no way that was Jon Favreau that did that.
Not only that, but you go back and look at that cast and how star-studded that cast was and how horrible that movie was.
It's kind of like looking at Sam Raimi's filmography and seeing Oz the Great and the Powerful. Like, oh he didn't
he did do that. Yeah, he did that. Yeah.
Yep.
Or looking at Martin Scorsese's and going, he did, what was that?
Hugo.
Oh, it was Hugo. I'm sorry.
Great movie, though. That was a fantastic movie.
Phenomenal movie. But when you look down his filmography and you go, okay, Leo, gangster, Hugo. Okay.
That's why I love Steven Spielberg. He keeps it loose and different every single
Spielberg
time. He does.
All over the place.
You could look at his filmography and go, yeah, no, that makes sense for Steven. Yeah, that makes sense. Yeah, no, that makes sense too.
Only Spielberg can drop Schindler's List and Jurassic Park in the same year.
Yeah,
Jesus.
Only he could. Only he could, bro. I do at one point want to do a podcast about the best Steven Spielberg movie. I think my pick might surprise you guys. My
pick probably wouldn't surprise anybody.
But that is definitely something. We got to do more directorial podcasts where we're breaking down some of these directors.
Yeah.
Because I know Jayla would lose her mind if we did a Sam Raimi episode.
Trust me, she already planned that episode out.
She's just like, all right, I already got to say October 15th. We're doing Sam Raimi Day. No, but huge shouts out to Jayla. Also shouts out to Sabrina, who wanted to join but could not. But Sabrina will be here for the Thursday episode where we go deeper into all of the Predator movies. So don't worry, Sabrina will be there for that. But I want to thank you guys for tuning in. I want to thank Blake, Mike, and Trayvon for joining me. This is a lot of fun, and I really love this movie. And there are very few things that make me happier than when I love something and I suggest it. And then when Mike messaged us and he's just like, that's pretty fucking dope. I was like, yes, I love it. Because there's no worse feeling than saying, yo, this movie was great. Go watch it. And they watch it and they're like, oh, that was not good.
And then you're just sitting there like,
yeah, you're like, damn, am I missing something? Was it not that good? You start questioning yourself. So that's always a great feeling. And I didn't know Trayvon liked it until we came on here. So that's also one of those surprises. I loved it. It's I'll take that too. But make sure you guys stay tuned. Tomorrow we'll be doing Much Ado About Nothing. Tuesday, GVN Sports. Thursday will obviously be The Last Scare. Make sure you like, comment, and subscribe to The Last Scare page. What Jayla and Blake and Sabrina and Mike and the whole team is doing over there are amazing. Whole bunch of videos have been uploaded over there. So if you missed anything of The Last Scare, please go through and do a marathon. Catch yourself up. So subscribe to The Last Scare. Subscribe to Geek Vibes Nation. Like, comment, and share. Yes, there you go. I knew it was another one I was forgetting. But please do stay tuned, guys. We will be bringing back Marvel Cinematic Review for She-Hulk. So make sure you guys stay tuned for that. I cannot wait just for Daredevil. I might only do episodes just for Daredevil.
The cherry on top. I'm really excited for this show.
No, I am too, but the more I see Daredevil, the more I'm just like, I might just be here for him.
All this asshole did is jump off a car and slowly turn around, and I'm already like...
I'm like, he has my heart. I now have to protect this character more than She-Hulk. He's the most precious thing to happen out of this whole series. Daredevil is... If only we could get Ditch to understand that, who for some reason does not like Daredevil. We got to get Ditch on board.
I wish you didn't tell me that.
Yeah, well,
it ruined our relationship. Honestly, I don't trust Ditch anymore.
He soured to me a little bit when he said that. I'm just like, wait, what? Huh?
I look at him differently now.
Because I asked him, I'm like, Ben's Daredevil? He's like, no, just Daredevil as a character. I'm like, oh, that's going too far, right? That's just going too far.
Yeah.
Daredevil as a character has to be protected at all costs.
He is top 10 best comic book hero of all time.
I can make an argument for 5.
I can make the argument for 4, honestly.
You'd all be right. I wouldn't dispute any of you.
I can make an argument for 4. Blake's like, as long as you got Moon Knight somewhere in there. No, hell, I love Daredevil. 5, 4, yeah, 100%. Top 3, I don't know, but 4. Yeah,
Superman, Batman, Spider-Man, Daredevil. I wouldn't argue anybody there, honestly.
Yeah,
that's so weird. I for reasons. Well, we know Trayvon. None of them outside of one fly. We get that. It's so funny because to me, I don't know if I could have a top 5 without Wolverine. So I think Superman might be my man out. He might have to be my man out. He might have to be the honorable mention because Wolverine has to be in there, right? He just the character's too big. But look, that's another list we can do, guys. Let us know in the comment section some of these lists you would like to see us tackle. But till next time, guys, thank you so much. Make sure you're liking, commenting, and subscribing to Last Scare and Geek Vibes Nation. But till next time, peace.
Peace.